day, you're watching Businessworld Live. I'm Danie, Laurel.
And I'm Delos Santos. Here are today's top stories. President Bongbong Marcos is now eyeing the possibility of allowing food manufacturers to directly import sugar as domestic supply remains tight.
Now, even the country's beverage companies are feeling the impact of the sugar crisis. Industry leaders confirmed that they are dealing with a shortage of premium refined sugar, a key ingredient in carbonated drinks.
With the economy reopening further, approved foreign investment pledges have surged in the second quarter.
And Senator Rafi Tulfo proposes to impose duties on the commercial importation of ukay-ukay or second-hand clothes. We begin our broadcast with President Bongbong Marcos now looking into the possibility of allowing food manufacturers to directly import sugar as domestic supply continues to dwindle.
Now, even the soft drinks industry is bearing the brunt of the crisis, with the shortage affecting major bottling companies. Shaila Francisco with the rest of the story.
The country's leading soft drink makers are not spared by the ongoing sugar crisis. In a rare joint statement, Coca-Cola Beverages Philippines, ARC Refreshments Corporation, and Pepsi-Cola Products Philippines confirmed they are now facing a shortage of premium refined sugar, a key ingredient in most soda products. The company said they are working closely with other industry stakeholders and government agencies to address the situation. For the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, or PCCI, the joint statement was meant to ensure that production will not be hampered in the coming months and job losses will be averted.
As of now, I think they are controlling their consumption of sugar, having the shortage frame of mind that there is still enough supply to carry us forward at least up to September, because October, usually that last quarter, is the harvesting time.
Some sari-sari stores and even wholesale retailers are already seeing fewer bottled soft drink deliveries.
Pag umorder po kami ng hundreds, dinadara mga 20s, gano'n lang. Tapos hindi kompleto. Kulang-kulang, laging walang supply. Nanulugi na kami.
Even larger players, such as supermarkets, are seeing unavailability of some sizes of carbonated drinks.
Ang sabi lang is they cannot assure us of ample supply of particular sizes, but they cannot tell us which size and when.
In a consultation meeting with food manufacturers, President Bongbong Marcos proposed several measures to help increase the supply of quality sugar for manufacturing to protect local jobs. For one, PBBM plans to craft some concessions with traders to ensure reasonable pricing of sugar. The Office of the Press Secretary also mentioned that the President is looking at direct importation of the commodity through food manufacturers and industry players to address supply problems. Shaila Francisco, VR1 News.
Malacanang has accepted the resignation of former SRA Administrator Hermenegildo Serafica. He is third among the four signatories of Sugar Order Number 4 to step down from their post. Agriculture Undersecretary Leocadio Sebastian was first to resign and was followed by SRA Board Member Roland Beltran, who cited health reasons. The only signatory who has yet to let go of his post is acting SRA Board Member Aurelio Valderrama Jr., who even defended the import order. He said the order is based on facts and underwent consultations among industry stakeholders. The order has been tagged as illegal by Malacanang because it was not authorized by the President. Valderrama said he has already explained his side of the story directly to President Marcos Jr.
I already wrote a letter to the President. I am at his disposal. The President will decide.
No sweet ending to this sugar mess just yet. To find out more about how big of a problem we're dealing with here, we have on the show Rosendo, President of the Samahang Industriya ng Agrikultural, or SINAG. Rosendo, good morning. Thank you for joining us. You're on mute, Rosendo. If you can just unmute very quickly.
Yeah, morning.
Okay, there you go. So give us an idea really how serious of a problem are we dealing with here? Is there even really a problem to begin with? Because you have some stakeholders like the United Sugar Producers Federation. They did say last night on the big story that there's really no shortage. It's just that somebody is releasing the supply very slowly. What's your take on that?
Yeah, if you see the importation comparing last year and this year, June, we have imported around 79,304 metric tons. Last year, same month, June, we only imported 5,483. And this coming July, we imported around 63,863. And last year, only 26,040. So if you compare that, it is more higher. The importation is more higher than last year. And this August, we have already imported around 15,000 metric tons. And we have a balance of 20. So we can see around 35. So compared to last year, the import of August is only 23. So the total between last year and this year, it's 3 times higher. So we don't see any problem because the local producer is also producing. And so we are asking for the inventory. We talked to SRA and told them that, do you have any inventory of the distribution? How many are they holding, the importer and the producers? So they have to have data, no? They just project from the PSA record that was released 2 months ago. They based on that to project the stock. It's not accurate. We told them they have to ask the inventory is and the incoming so that we know what is the balance.
But sir, the food manufacturers and the beverages industry are citing a real problem, which means na hindi nakakarating sa kanila. Is this enough to warrant an importation or a green light on importation?
Yeah, maybe their supply is holding. No? So we have to know if they are directly importing or they are buying from who, so that para malaman natin kung kanino galing yan, no? So far kasi ang tingin natin is walang shortage.
Walang shortage.
May stocks.
But if I may follow up on an earlier point that you raised earlier, Rosendo, you did mention that the volume that we have at least imported for this year is way higher compared to last year. But don't you also have to factor in the fact that now the economy is more reopening compared to what we had last year? Hence, of course, the higher demand as well.
Yes, but the school is will start next month. No? I think the producer is projecting that they will have a more volume of sales. But if you see the interview last night of PIC, they're not saying that they are not the company is not getting stocks. Diba? So ang pino-project nila is baka by October baka magkakaroon ng shortage. So ang shipment naman will take only 2 weeks. So we could ang dapat gawin ng SRA is to have a meeting with the producers, the importer and distribution and the retailer para malaman kung ilan talaga ang stocks.
Sir, will this direct importation of sugar of the beverage manufacturers that the president is mulling over have a big impact on the local producers, or okay lang naman since it's going to be directly imported and possibly temporary lang?
Yeah, depende sa volume kasi eh. Kaya sabi ko dapat kausapin ang manufacturer. Kung ilan ang balance, yun lang ang ipasok. I think they are looking around 150,000 tons. No? We are looking around 100 tons. So, yun. Depende kasi sa production ng October to December.
Okay, so easy naman po to reverse that and to get
Yes.
from the if that does get approved by the president.
So we don't see any problem
Okay.
as of now up to this coming September.
Okay. Now, of course, this whole mess mas napalawak pa with, of course, sugar order number 4. And now you have SRA and DA officials resigning after this whole mess. What happened here exactly? How were stakeholders consulted before the order was even made? And what do you make of these resignations?
Yeah. They just call the importer, but we don't see the stockholder or the distribution system and the retailer. We told them that dapat tawagan lahat, no, para at least it will be much better to project what is the balance.
Okay.
Sir, question lang, bakit po lumabas to lahat ngayon? Bakit po hindi napansin tong problem with the SRA earlier on?
Yeah, kasi dapat ang mag-preside dyan is ang ating presidente, no? Ang problema kasi is yung Sec Sebastian was in Malacanang August 10. Kasama yung mga fertilizer group to discuss the price of fertilizer and everything. But at that time, dapat, sinabi niya kay Presidente, we will import 300,000 metric tons. Wala siyang binanggit, no? And he just signed the volume. Dapat kasi, I think gusto ni Presidente on top siya sa lahat eh. Alam niya yung situation kasi siya ang agri-chief. Before importing or everything. Kasi ang sabi niya sa mga producers nung nagkaroon ng meeting is we will only import the balance. Yun ang direksyon ng ating presidente. Dapat may consultation talaga sa local. Ano ang balance, yun ang ipasok.
Of course, that that at least requires as well surveying, as what you have mentioned earlier. But now again, you have a number of officials resigning. There will more or less likely be changes in the Sugar Regulatory Administration. What do you think should be a new set of policies here that the agency has to implement to make changes here?
Yeah, to meet the local producers, that is the best, and to see to project what is needed only to import. I think that will help the local industry to produce more, and that is the direction of our president. We should follow.
Okay. And sir, finally po, you've mentioned several times that there's actually no sugar shortage. What about other crops like onions? How big of a problem is the shortage of white onions? Another thing to be considering, importation na naman. Is this going to be another messy problem compared to what we're seeing now with the sugar po?
Yeah, onion we always yearly we import by August. So we don't see any problem with the white onion.
Okay.
The red onion, our stock will last up to January. So if we import white onion, maybe around 4,000 to 5,000 tons. It's not so big. So that is okay, no? What we have so far is yung red onion, ang dami nating stocks, pero yung white onion, paubos na talaga.
Okay, and big question, of course, there, magkano na ang importation cost given the fertilizer shortage globally? Maraming salamat, Sir Rosendo, President of SINAG or Samahang Industriya ng Agrikultura.
Okay, maraming salamat.
Now let's pause for a quick break, but coming right up after that. Approved foreign investment pledges more than doubled in the second quarter of the year.
More of that and other stories when Business World Live returns. Stay with us.
And you're still watching Business World Live here on One News. I'm Jess de los Santos.
And I'm Danie, Laurel. Approved foreign investments more than doubled in the second quarter from a year ago. This comes on the back of the economy continuing to reopen amid looser mobility curves. Now, PSE data showed that the value of foreign commitments reached 46.2 billion pesos from April to June. That is up by 105% from the 22.5 billion pesos during the same period of last year. This was also the highest since the 133 billion pesos recorded in the last quarter of 2021. The Netherlands was the biggest source of approved investment pledges in the second quarter. That's at 19 billion pesos, followed by Singapore and Japan.
The Transport Department considers China's official development assistance to be the best option for funding 3 major railway projects. Although in an interview with Agenda, Transport Undersecretary Cesar Chavez clarifies they are not closing their doors to other funders. Chavez explained that some of the contracts have already been awarded to Chinese contractors, and these contractors usually do not work with contractors from other funders. Recall that the Philippines and China have agreed to resume negotiations for the PNR South Long-Haul Subic-Clark Railway and the Mindanao Railway projects.
Now, Senator Raffy Tulfo is pushing for the legalization and taxation of the commercial importation of ukay-ukay. During a hearing of the Senate Ways and Means Committee, Tulfo criticized the Customs Bureau for failing to control the entry of second-hand garments in the country. The senator explained that the importation of such products is illegal if they are meant to be sold.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
In fact, there is a policy in the DSWD that they do not receive ukay-ukay.
Why in the heck, tumingin ka sa kaliwat kanan, pumunta ka Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, nagkalat ang mga ukay-ukay. So ano pong ginagawa ng Bureau of Customs? Bakit nakalusot itong mga ukay-ukay? Ikaw na mismo nagsabi na may policy tayo na hindi dapat binibenta ang ukay-ukay dahil dapat yan ay donation galing sa ibang bansa. At bakit ibinibenta po yan sa halos lahat ng tindahan?
Now, Tulfo clarifies he has nothing against small thrift shops who sell second-hand clothes. Instead, the lawmaker says it is possible that smugglers are the ones benefiting from the widespread ukay trade in the country.
Pagbayarin lang po ng buwis itong mga ukay-ukay na ito para naman kumita ang gobyerno kahit papaano. Kaysa naman po tinutugis niyo po yung mga online seller na barya-barya lang po ang kinikita.
This from the Philippine Star. The Treasury says the country will continue its borrowing program at over 2 trillion pesos at least in the short term. The government has so far fulfilled 48% of this year's borrowing program at 1.1 trillion pesos, 69% of which originated from domestic issuances and 31% from external sources. The country aims to borrow 2.2 trillion pesos both this year and in 2023. This year's borrowing program is 13% lower than the 2021 level of 2.5 trillion pesos.
Local airlines are set to lower their fuel surcharges next month. Philippine Airlines, Cebu Pacific, and AirAsia Philippines issued statements following the Civil Aeronautics Board's announcement that it will alter the applicable fuel surcharge for flights come September. From level 9, or a fuel surcharge of up to 1,000 pesos per passenger for domestic flights, airlines will soon be charging between 287 and 839 pesos. Now, for international flights, the surcharge will decrease from over 9,000 pesos per passenger to just between 947 pesos and a little over 7,000 pesos. The Civil Aeronautics Board cites the lower average prices of jet fuel from July to August as the reason for the decrease in the surcharge.
More reason to take that much-needed vacation.
Oh,
Dan.
really?
Those are the
Mahal
biggest
pa rin,
stories.
Jess.
Well, mas mura. Those are the biggest stories on the economic and corporate front today. I'm Jess Delos Santos.
And I'm Danie, Laurel. We are One News, all sides, all the time. But don't go away. We'll give you the latest on the local bourse when Businessworld Live returns. Stay with us.
And they're still on Businessworld Live and One News. Now, Dan, after a shaky start, we posted the longest rally since November 2020, and we're still cheering on those earnings numbers, but there could actually be more reason to this rally.
Exactly. So that was yesterday. 7 straight days of gains, Jess. So not bad, diba? And if you can see here, even with a little pullback, we're still on the past 3 days, at least on that upward trend, gaining more than 2%. And, like you mentioned, it's partly because of the earnings that we saw yesterday and in the past couple of weeks. But also, this according to Carlos Temporal at AP Securities, less bearish on inflation, higher interest rates, and the weaker peso. These are the 3 things that were weighing down the markets. Another thing, foreign inflows expected to be picking up as emerging market currencies, the weaknesses might be paring down. It might be stabilizing, especially with a less hawkish Fed. Now, as you mentioned, there are, of course, earnings that were buoying the bourse yesterday. And let's take a look at how the financial space is doing today. Still on the uptrend, even as yesterday was already the best performer. You do have the BSP decision coming tomorrow. So a lot are watching out for that. How is that going to affect the banking sector? And yesterday, of course, you had Security Bank gaining or soaring rather 5.9% after those earnings more than doubled. But I did want to check on a couple of stocks which were moving yesterday, and those are the Villar stocks moving the opposite direction, just tanking, and even all home plunging 7.7%. They reported closures of 3 outlets and core profit missing COL's estimate by 36%. Now, another one is All Day. That actually slumped by 5.4% after they reported another second quarter earnings declining by almost 1/5, Jess.
Now, are we seeing the same trend here with the mining sector? Has the excitement peaked?
A good question there. The mining sector has been, the star sector, for instance, during all of these issues in the war. But you could see that actually going up today. But one is to watch the fact that the nickel ore output declined 20% year-on-year in the first half due to bad weather daw. But still, the value was up by more than 7% because mahal na yung prices ng nickel. But another thing that, we should watch out for is semi-rara, even if as they're up by 0.1%. The CEO, Isidro Consun, he is saying he doubts coal would reach the forecast of $246 per ton. They haven't sold coal to China in the last 6 months. They've had to diversify, and they are cautious and anemic according to their outlook. So still one to watch. Maybe the mining sector has felt has enjoyed already quite a run and might be set for a pullback there, Jess.
Well, let's see how things are going to fare for the sector. And that's it for today, August 17, 2022. Join us again tomorrow at exactly 9:30 a.m. You can also catch us on Signal Play. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Jess De Los Santos.
And I'm Danie, Laurel. Mask on, wash hands, stay safe, Philippines. We are One News, all sides, all the time.